June 12, 1994, the spell broke. I was at home when the news reports began to trickle in. Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman had been murdered. Like everyone else, I sat there trying to make sense of what I was hearing. Unlike most people, I had spent time around O.J. Simpson only a few months earlier. Not a lot of time, just enough to watch him work a room. Enough to understand why he had become one of the most beloved public figures in America. As the story unfolded over the next few days, a strange feeling came over me. It wasn't shock exactly. It wasn't disbelief. It was recognition. A door opened somewhere in my mind, and all at once, things that had not fit together before seemed to slide into place. I can't explain it any better than that. The public was still trying to decide what they believed. I wasn't. Somewhere deep inside, I knew. Maybe it was because I had seen the force of his personality up close. Maybe it was because I had watched 6,000 people become completely captivated by him. Maybe because I understood that people capable of extraordinary charm are often capable of extraordinary manipulation. I don't know, but I knew. A few days later, like millions of Americans, I found myself glued to the television, watching a white Bronco creep down a California freeway. My friend and client Tom and I sat there in disbelief. The whole thing felt unreal. The most famous athlete in America, the most famous police chase in America. The entire country was watching. It was as though reality itself had become a television show. Months passed. The story consumed everything. Then one day, another piece of it landed directly in my lap. The defense team began floating a theory that O.J.'s arthritis was so severe that he would have been physically incapable of committing the murders. When I heard that, my stomach dropped. Sitting in my office were several large Betacam videotapes from our Dallas convention. 5 cameras, every angle recorded separately. Hours of footage. And among that footage was O.J. Simpson telling 6,000 people that after taking Juice Plus for 90 days, his arthritis had improved dramatically. He spoke about having a stronger grip, more flexibility, feeling like his old self again. I remember staring at those tapes and realizing they might suddenly become important. Not long afterward, I received a call from my friend Jay Martin, CEO of NSA. Jay was one of the smartest people I've ever known. He also possessed a wonderfully dry sense of humor. "Well, Hoss," he said, "looks like you've made it into the trial transcript." The court wanted the tapes. I boxed them up and sent them to Los Angeles. That was the last I ever heard about them. I don't know if they were used. I don't know if my name ever actually appeared in the transcript. I've often thought about looking it up, and maybe one day I will. But over the years, I've come to realize that the most important part of the story isn't the tapes. It's what I learned. You see, over the course of my career, I've been fortunate enough to spend time around a lot of famous people. The older I get, the less impressed I am by fame. Fame turns out to be a pretty flimsy thing. Money too. Power has an expiration date. Celebrity is often nothing more than a temporary agreement between the public and a personality. Character is something else entirely. Character is who you are when the crowd goes home. Character is how you treat people who can do nothing for you. Character is what remains when the applause is no longer available. O.J. Simpson taught me that lesson. Not intentionally, but powerfully. The thing that fascinates me all these years later is not that he fooled millions of people. Human beings get fooled every day. We see what we want to see. We believe stories that make us feel good. We buy into narratives that are clearly false and, yes, dangerous. What fascinates me is how completely he seemed to understand what people wanted. They wanted confidence. They wanted success. They wanted charm. They wanted a winner. And he gave them exactly that. Everyone wanted to spend time with O.J. Simpson. Everyone wanted a little piece of his glow. Everyone wanted to hear his stories. Everyone wanted to be his friend. Everyone, that is, except Nicole Brown Simpson. And that may have been the one thing he could never accept. I've spent more than 30 years thinking about that contradiction. How can someone be so charming and so destructive? How can someone be so gifted and so broken? How can a man spend a lifetime building an empire only to tear it down with his own hands? I still don't know. Maybe that's why the story continues to fascinate us. Not because O.J. Simpson was unique, but because he wasn't. Every one of us has an ego. Every one of us has blind spots. Every one of us is capable of convincing ourselves that rules don't apply. Most of us just don't do it on national television. When I think back to those few days in Memphis and Dallas in 1994, I don't remember the football star. I don't remember the movie actor. I don't even remember the celebrity spokesman. I remember a man who could walk into a room and make everybody feel important. And I remember learning that making people feel important and actually valuing them are two very different things. That lesson stayed with me much longer than O.J. Simpson ever did. Fame isn't character. Charisma isn't kindness. And applause isn't love. The people I remember most aren't necessarily the most famous. They're the ones who thanked the crew, the ones who learned your name, the ones who treated the hotel waiter, the driver, the desk clerk, the same way they treated the CEO. That's grace. O.J. Simpson had charisma to burn. For a few days, I saw it up close. But after all these years, I've learned that if I have to choose between charisma and grace, I'll take grace every single time.